we talk about a little bit about the soul of converts. Where is the root of souls of the converts? Where they come from? Why do they join Klal Yisrael and become part of the nation of Israel? So there's various different understandings that's brought down in Sifrei Kabbalah, Sifrei Chassidus, different texts, spiritual texts, but they all talk about from different angles. We're going to try to collect them to make them into one seamless idea of understanding what is specifically the root of souls of converts. So the first thing is the language of the Gemara, the language of Chazal, the language that our sages say, is when it talks about a convert, the Gemara in Yavam is in other places, the language is ger shenizgar, a convert that converted, which is a very peculiar phrase. It should say a non-Jew who converted. When you say that as a convert that converted, it suggests already that the person was already converted before they become a convert. So therefore, the Chidah and others bring down that a convert, the reason why someone goes through a conversion, someone feels a need to go through a conversion, and it's a hard process. And then when a person that wants to convert, they're pushed aside, and they're told that you should know that Klal Yisrael has a hard life, and you shouldn't join them. And what do you find here? So there's a lot of pushing away of the convert. But still, the convert feels a strong need to convert, to become living openly as part of Klal Yisrael. So the Chidah writes, and others write, that really the reason for this is because the soul of a convert is already converted before they converted. It means even before their conversion, they have a spark. They have a nitzitz, a spark, a Jewish spark. And this nitzitz, this Jewish spark, this Jewish energy that they had already from the beginning of their birth, from the beginning of their lives, even if they lived as non-Jews for many years, this drove them and this drives them continuously to be connected to Jewish people, to have Jewish friends, to be connected to Judaism, to connect to the Torah, to connect them to a higher way of living of the Torah. It drives them. And since it drives them in this direction, it's not like they have an option, yes, to convert or not convert, but they feel that this is a place that they always belong and a place that they always have to go towards. This is why the language of Chazal, the language of our sages, is ger shenizgar, a convert that converts. Where does this spark come from? That they have this burning urge to connect, or even an urge, just a regular urge to connect and reconnect to their Jewish brethren. So the Arizal says something very interesting. The Arizal writes that it's possible sometimes that there was a married Jewish man and a married non-Jewish woman, and they liked each other. I'm not giving any type of interpretation to this text, just to say what it is. And it's possible, says Dari, that when these couples were together with their own spouses, they had a machshava, they had a thought about the other person, which they shouldn't have. It's called a ben tmura. It's not such a good thing. It's a terrible thing, actually. But they had a machshava about another person. It's possible that a nitzitz, a spark from the Jewish male, entered into the non-Jewish female, the mother of this child, and therefore this child is born already with a spark of a Jew. This is the level of a type of nitzitz, a type of spark. In other places, Dari writes that in Shara Gigulim, Dari writes also that the special place where neshamas of Gerim come from, the souls of Gerim come from a particular place. And when they go through a process of conversion, they go through a full process and they receive the full level of a soul that belongs to part of the people of Israel, part of the Jewish people, a Nishmas Yisrael. So there's two things that we see here. One is that there is a type of strong inclination for people that were born to non-Jewish parents, genetically not Jewish, a strong Jewish inclination. They feel drawn towards Jews, towards Jewish practice, towards Torah mitzvahs. And the second thing that we see here is that at some point, this spark becomes a full flame and it becomes their full identity. Because we understand that there's a spark, how much of a spark, but there's a spark that these people, a person that's born as a convert, a person that's born as a non-Jew, has even before they convert, we can understand something very interesting. There's something, the way to understand is like this. A Jew, by birth, person that's born Jewish, to Jewish parents, besides having a Jewish soul that they're born with, which means a Jewish constitution, a special quality of being Jewish, they also carry within their genes and genetically on their physical body, they also carry Jewish history, which means that, and this is collectively, this is universally true by all people. Any person that's born into a certain culture, if you're born into a certain people, you carry genetically the culture in your body. There's actually, let's say, for example, there's a study with mice, that if you take a mouse, let's say we'll call this this original mouse number 1. Mouse number 1, every time there's a certain type of sound that enters into the cage where this mouse is being held, the mouse receives an electric shock. The sound goes, let's say it's a particular type of music. Every time the music is sounded, the mouse gets electrocuted. I'm not saying this is civil and this is ethical. I'm just saying this is the experience that happened. This is the experiment that happened. Now, mouse number 1 has a child, and there's no longer any music, there's no longer any shock. Every time they play the music to mouse number 2, the child of mouse number 1, the mouse goes into panic. Even though the mouse was never shocked in its life, it doesn't identify the sound with the shock. But because its parent experienced the shock when it received that noise, therefore mouse number 2 has the same experience. Which means that we actually carry memory in our genes. We're not conscious of it. We can't say why. Why are certain people afraid of certain colors or certain countries or certain people or certain dimensions? We can't explain everything, but it could be possible because a grandparent had some type of traumatic experience that went into our genes, and we're carrying that genes, and we're carrying just the fear of that experience, even though we're not conscious of what the experience is. There's a very interesting phenomenon, which this happened after the Megurush Sfard, after the expulsion from Spain, and this is similar happening right after this story, after the Holocaust, which is after and it also happened, incidentally, it happened even before that, happened after the destruction of the Second Beis Hamikdash period, in times of the Romans. After there was a tremendous catastrophe, a physical terrible experience that Klal Yisrael, the people of Israel, collectively experienced. After this experience, just a short time later, there's an abundant of there's many converts there's many people that convert. There's many conversions that happen. This happened in Rome. This happened after the expulsion of Spain. There's some very famous tzaddikim even, and this happened even presently. V'yesh lemer, we can say like this: these are souls, just like there are souls of sometimes people are born, not to make the perfect parallel, but sometimes people are born, they don't have the capacity to reveal their soul potential. A person's born, let's say, God forbid, with Down syndrome. A person's born with some type of autism, some type of illness that they can't express themselves fully. And we understand that the reason why this soul entered into this body is because this soul is really a perfected soul. And it enters only into this body to help the souls around them, the family around them, to achieve their tikkun. I think also this also works with the souls of converts. The Grand Master, the Eibishter, Hashem, looks at the world and says, Klal Yisrael just went through a very traumatic experience. Why? We're not giving an answer for why we went through the experience. Klal Yisrael is carrying now, in our genes, we're carrying a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, real pain, real hurt. So Hashem took souls in their past lives, these are souls of Jews. That means they lived as fully as Jews in their past lives. They were a Gershon as God. They were a convert already. They converted. It means they were converted already before they converted. These are souls of Jewish souls that existed in Jewish bodies in the previous life. For some reason, these very holy souls entered into non-Jewish bodies for a certain period of time. And the reason why they entered into non-Jewish bodies for a certain period of time is so that when they reintegrate and become part of Klal Yisrael again, part of the people of Israel, they're not going to carry the physical trauma in their genes, because genetically they're not Jewish. They don't carry those genes. And what that does is, it brings a sense of joy and balance to Klal Yisrael. And this is where the deepest root of souls of converts come from. And when a ger is a ger, a true ger that goes through properly ger halacha in the holiest and the highest way, we have to welcome this ger. We have to welcome this convert and understand that this is a person that actually spiritually sacrificed to live as a non-Jew for a certain period of time in order to come back into Klal Yisrael and to give Jews a tremendous gift of coming from that place. And therefore, some of the greatest people in history, and particularly through these time periods, when we live through these transformational time periods, the most important Jews at those periods of time were always converts, or related to converts. The whole Torah Sheba'al Peh is based on Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva is a son of converts. Onkelos, the first translation of the Torah, which means to the beginning of Torah Sheba'al Peh, was a convert. And the same thing also we say that David is the son of Ruth, which is the ultimate redemption in the time of Mashiach, when there will be a complete redemption of the entire world. The coming of Mashiach,